Let me turn the volume down. So we'll just give everybody a minute to join us. Let me hop over here to our Man Lake profile. Hi, Sarah. How are you today, ma'am?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good. And if you guys are joining us, thank you so much for joining us. We have Sarah with us today. And Sarah is also a Man Lake employee, and she is going to be joining me to talk about why an apiary inspector visit really does matter. So, we're going to give just a few more moments for everyone to join, and I'm going to hop over to our page here on TikTok. One moment, Sarah. There we are. And thank you so much for joining us here on TikTok. We really, really appreciate you. And we will go ahead and we can get started, Sarah, if you're ready.
Yeah, go for it.
Perfect. So I know it seems a little daunting when we hear the word apiary inspector, but that's why Sarah and I are here today. We don't want it to seem scary. We actually know some personally, and they're really great people. They're there to help you. So that's what we want to talk about today. Helping beekeepers see inspections as a bee yard safety net and not a scary clipboard. That's exactly what the inspector is there for. So, real quick, Sarah and I are in Pennsylvania. So, this is Pennsylvania specific because this is what we know. But every state has a different inspector, different inspectors, and different ways to do it. So, it's really important to check with your state in your local area, and we'll get into that a little bit further. But let's go ahead and I'll move on to the next slide here. And here we go. So BLAW is local, as we just said. And again, just to hone in, this presentation uses Pennsylvania because this is where we are, but every state can run inspections differently. They could be run the same too. But in Pennsylvania, every beekeeper must register with the Commonwealth. Registration is $10 for a 2 calendar year period and covers all apiaries and hives owned by that person. So honestly, that's great. That means the apiary inspector can come out and visit all of your bee yards, even if you have 10. So if you have one or you have 10, they're all registered under that $10 fee. Across state lines, packages and hives brought into Pennsylvania must have a certificate of inspection. And Sarah, we know all about that here, right? Because
Yes.
that's something that we do include. And Sarah, where on the packaging can we find that? Is that included in the QR code? Yes, when we get our bee packages.
So it is available, and then depending on whether you're having your bees shipped or picked up for Man Lake at least, when you go to pick up your bees, they should have a paper copy available for you if you wanted to request that. If you are taking your bees within the same state that you're picking them up, it's something that's nice to have, not strictly necessary. However, if you're picking up your bees and you're going to take them across state lines to another state, it is really important for you to have a copy of that document available, on the chance that you get stopped and they ask about your bees, or you bring them into your bee yard and later there's a question about where you got them from.
Absolutely. And if you're getting your bees here with us, that's something we can get out to you too if you do need that. Correct, Sarah? Like if you
Yep,
ran
for
into that?
sure. Yeah,
Perfect.
give us a call, send us an email, send us a chat on our website. We're happy to get you any kind of documentation that you might need to make sure that you're covered.
Absolutely. I do want to say, I see Hive to Honey join. Thank you so much for joining, Diane. And I saw Beekeeper join too. So thank you so much for joining us here. If you're just joining, we are talking about the importance of the apiary inspector, the state apiary inspector coming to visit your hives. Again, Sarah and I are in Pennsylvania, so we're covering how it works here in PA. Of course, every state could be different. So let's move on to that next slide here. And Sarah, it's really important too because being in Pennsylvania, we did see customers coming and getting bees from, say, they'll come even from Vermont and come to Pennsylvania to pick up
Hmm.
their bees. So it is important to have that paperwork.
Yes, for sure. We used to have a regular customer that would drive down every year from Maine with a horse trailer, and pick up packages for his whole bee club and bring them back.
Yes.
So it's really important that we just make sure that he had the paperwork that he needed for not just himself, but also the folks that he was handing bees out to once he got back home.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's important for everyone involved. So, local bee clubs are your compass. Not everybody's in Pennsylvania. So, start with your local club because they're going to know the inspectors working nearby and can point new beekeepers to the right contacts. So, it's always important to get to know your local bee club. They know exactly who you need to talk to.
Hmm.
And then also ask what applies locally. State rules matter, but also your county, your township, your borough, your HOA, or your zoning rules can affect your bee yard too. And I know that personally because my bee yard is not at my house. My house is zoned differently, so I can't keep all the hives that I have where I live. I'm also in a very urban area. So it's just not possible for me to keep all the hives that I have where I'm at. So zoning is important and definitely look into it.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you are under an HOA in your area, they can be a lot more strict than your county or borough can. You just want to make sure that you're covered there before you go ahead and put a beehive in your yard.
Absolutely. Because neighbors, unfortunately, some neighbors will say something and complain. So definitely check and see. Local rules matter. Now, you want to take the time to understand your zoning requirements and beekeeping regulations before setting up your apiary because definitely doing that research now can save you a lot of trouble and potentially a lot of money later on in the future. So know what your regulations and zoning. And guess who else can help you with that? Your apiary inspector. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The folks at your local bee club as well. There's a million reasons why it's a great idea to join a club. This is one of
absolutely.
them.
This is absolutely one of them. So let's move on to the next slide. And this just goes into a little bit of history as to why the program exists. The inspection system grew from one very practical problem, contagious brood disease. So here in Pennsylvania in 1921, the first PAB law was created in response to American foul brood. In 1994, the current bee law required registration to make inspection more efficient. Now, inspections help protect local colonies and neighboring bee yards. The goal is not to, here, gotcha. It's early detection, education, and slowing disease before one hive problem becomes a county-wide headache. And it can, and it will. Sarah, let me take a look at this next slide because I know you have a lot of valuable information. Yes, we can go on to this next one here. So, what the inspector is looking for is brood health, solid pattern, the larvae, cappings, odors, scale, signs of American foul brood, European foul brood, parasitic mite syndrome. So, Sarah, I know that you have a lot of knowledge about the American foul brood, yes?
I do, yeah.
Mhm.
But just to touch on some of the other information on the slide as well, the things that they're looking for,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
really want to use your inspector as a resource. Because really, if you think about it, many of these inspectors, they're inspecting hives across sometimes multiple counties across the your area. So at the end of the day, they're looking at thousands of hives every year, and they've really, over their time as inspectors, seen it all. So you want to take advantage of that time that you have with them to be able to ask the questions that maybe you haven't seen or someone in your club hasn't seen when you've asked the question. Odds are your apiary inspector has seen it before, and can really help you out and point you out in the right direction. Not just about things like American foul brood or just things that you've noticed in your hives or trends that you're seeing. They're just a huge resource to be able to take advantage of.
I agree. They're that you can think of them as they're like a mentor, really. That's their job is to be there to help you. They're not there to scare you, they're there to help. And they truly want to help you. It's if you're an apiary inspector, I almost believe it's because you're very passionate about beekeeping.
Yes, for sure. I know we've met a few apiary inspectors. I've made a few, both current and former apiary inspectors, in my time in travels. And 201, they are just really passionate about bees and making sure that beekeepers have the the knowledge and the empowerment to succeed in the hobby. And even if they want to make a business out of it, they really just want everyone around them to succeed. I've had some conversations with our local apiary inspector. His name's Randy. He's a wonderful guy. And he's told me time and time again that he just doesn't want people to see him as the bee police.
Right.
He's really there to help. He's not there to trap anyone, trick anyone, fine anyone. He just wants you to succeed and wants your bees to be happy and healthy.
Absolutely. Kim, if you guys are with us all the time, Kim does her hive inspections. Randy, who Sarah is talking about, just went out and did her apiary inspection a few weeks ago. And she said it was a very, very educational and eye-opening experience for her. And she was really glad that she had him come out and inspect her hives. So,
Oh, that's great.
I'm actually hoping to set something up soon with my inspector as well. My bees are not in the same area as Randy, unfortunately, so I'll have to,
Oh, I see.
yeah, set it up with somebody different. But I am planning on doing that very soon. So now, what they're also looking for, now this is important, and this is where your certificates come in too, is like equipment movement certificate, sales movement, your breeder, your nuke certifications. That's the paperwork that we were talking about earlier that it's good to have on hand. They're looking for pests and parasites, varroa pressure, mite-related symptoms, hive beetles, other concerns. I know when Randy went and visited Kim, he had let her know that her bees were affected by PMS, parasitic mite syndrome. So they were looking into that together, and he let her know how she needed to treat to alleviate that. And that's what she's in the process of doing now. Also, education, what they see, why it matters, and they're going to let you know what to do next. Okay, so the PA inspector's job description does include detecting and controlling contagious diseases and mite parasites, plus demonstrating prevention and control methods to beekeepers. So they'll show you um, like the different things. I know they show you what they're looking for to detect the American foul brood and other different diseases. They show you exactly on the cappings what to look for. So they go very thoroughly in there with that. Let's see. I see a
Oh, it
comment
looks
over
like,
here.
yep.
Yeah. I see bees outside the hive apparently dying. Their legs keep moving and they like hug another bee or object. What is happening? I'm also seeing more drones on the landing board flying away and back.
Looks
I
like
live
yours
in
is in
Monterey.
Monterey. Is that I'm not sure where that is. I'm so sorry. What are you in the US? And if so, what state?
This was my second hive. Hmm.
Well, while we're waiting on that, I talk about some of the things just in a more general respect. There are, if you are suffering from mite pressure in your hive and you really need to treat, there are some secondary things that varroa mites vector into your hive. There are some viruses that can cause some of the symptoms that you're seeing. So I would for sure, if you haven't already, do a mite check, see what your levels are. And if that needs to be in California, okay. And if that needs to be addressed, you certainly want to do that sooner rather than later. Drones on the landing board, depending on your weather, this time of year, it could be that they're going out on mating flights, looking
Mm-hmm.
for a drone congregation area, looking for virgin queens to mate with. That's pretty common this time of year, so that might be what you're seeing. Getting orientation flights done so they can learn where their hive is to come back. I think that would be my first guess there. But from what you're seeing with the bees outside the hive, I would for sure do a mite check and get that under control. That's one of the biggest causes of issues that you see with bees dying and behaving unusually.
Absolutely. Do that mite check for sure. Okay. Now, one big red flag here, we put it up here on the screen, is the American foul brood. Sarah, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, for sure. I
Thank
know
you.
that we've probably all heard the term before, American foul brood, AFB, that kind of thing, and it's talked about like a big scary monster, and it kind of is. I've been fortunate in my years. I've heard folks talk about having American foulbrood. I haven't seen it in any of the hives that I've come into contact with or that my immediate circle of beekeepers have had before, thankfully. But it is a really serious thing, and it's why your state inspector is going to be very careful in searching for something like that, because unlike something like your varroa mites or something even like European foul brood, which is another strain, American foul brood is a bacteria that can form spores. And why that's so important is those spores can survive just about anything they are designed to. That's why the bacteria evolved that way. They don't die off if you freeze your equipment. If you try to clean it up, if you try to let the bees clean it up, those spores can survive basically indefinitely. And there is unfortunately no real cure for American foul brood once it is in a hive. Some of the other, like I said, Varroa, European foul brood, Nosema, those all have treatments that can kind of clear that up for you if you experience it. Unfortunately, with American foul brood, once that gets into a hive, the only thing that you can do is destroy that hive and burn your equipment, which I know is heartbreaking, not something that we ever want to do. But when you're looking at something like a spore forming bacteria like foul brood, you don't want that to spread throughout not only your hives, but also your neighbors' hives, hives within a couple of mile radius can also be affected. And it can really, like Steph said on the previous slide, become a countywide problem. And that is why the state apiarist is looking for that. Your inspector's looking out for it, and they also have to notify when it's found within a hive. Just because it's one of the few things that is not only a risk to your hives, your bee yards, your neighbors' bee yards, but hives within a pretty much miles wide vicinity. It is very easy, unfortunately, to spread American foul brood in those spores, because we're doing the things that we're taught to as beekeepers. If you've got a weaker hive, maybe you give them a frame of brood that has some honey in it that may be contaminated. You give them a frame of honey if they need to be fed. If they've got spores in it, you then spread that to another hive. Your bees ingesting that honey, they end up drifting into another hive. They've spread it that way. Something as simple as beekeepers, most of our gloves are
Mm-hmm.
leather, goat skin, cowhide, that kind of thing. Those spores can survive on your gloves. They can survive on your hive tool. And if you're working a few different hives and one of them is infected, unfortunately, you can spread it that way as well. So there's just a million little things that we do and that we're taught to do as beekeepers, which unfortunately with a disease like American foul brood only exacerbates the problem. So it's one of those things that really is a red alarm when it's found in a hive, and why the inspectors stress so much looking out for it.
Right. Absolutely. And it's definitely something that we should all be very leery of because like Sarah said, it spreads and then it spreads so quickly and we don't know who's keeping bees over there. Maybe you do, but it just can go so quickly. So quickly. So it's so important.
Mhm.
Okay, let me move on here. And thank you, Sarah. That is so much information. Um, such great information. I know when we went to the our little event back in Penn State, was it that was a I believe a inspector. He used to be showed us how they checked for the foul brood,
Mhm.
which was really interesting. They use a toothpick and check and see.
Yeah, there are a couple you can do. It's primarily a brood disease. It kills late stage larvae, early stage pupae. And if you suspect foul brood, one of the things that you can do to kind of narrow down what you're looking at is like Steph said, use a toothpick, kind of swirl around in the cell and pull that toothpick away. One of the symptoms of foul brood is that it really, it's kind of gross, I know, kind of liquefies that larvae, turns it like a dark, like a tannish brown color,
Mhm.
um, as opposed to the normal, like beautiful pearly white that you would see in your larvae when you're looking at them. And it's called a ropiness
Yep.
test. When you pull that toothpick away, kind of like a sticky rope comes away from the cell. And that's one of the things that kind of leads you to believe that you might be affected by foul brood. You can also, I am actually not sure how much longer the lab is going to be open. I've heard that they are looking to unfortunately shut down the Beltsville Bee Lab in Maryland. But in the meantime, while they are still open, you can actually send them a sample of your comb that you suspect to be contaminated with foul brood. You can send them a little square of it, wrap it up in newspaper, and they will actually do that testing free of charge for you.
Mhm.
So that's a way to know for sure. if you've got foul brood in your hives. I know sometimes the turnaround time is a little bit long, so you don't always have that time to wait before you need to decide what you're going to do. But if you after the fact wanted to know for sure if it was foul brood, you could send a sample away for testing as
Sure.
well.
Take advantage of that opportunity while you can. Absolutely. So it looks like we have, what would you say to beekeepers who buy bees from other areas away from the local area? Do you mean as far as
In terms of, yeah,
that? I'm
go
that's
ahead.
kind of, yeah, in terms of, I mean, I'm not sure what that's in terms of, but as far as we always provide certification if it's there for you. So just know where you're buying from. Get from a reputable
For
source.
sure.
That's what we would say.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
yeah, that was the point that I was going to make, is that anyone really who is selling bees on any level higher than, oh, I'm going to give my neighbor a swarm or something like that. Anyone who's actually selling bees really should have their hives inspected. It's at least
Yeah,
in Pennsylvania against the law for them not to. And anyone reputable that you're buying bees from should be able to provide you with that documentation. If they can't or won't, for me, that would
that'd
be
be a big
maybe
red flag.
a sign to ask some additional questions.
Absolutely.
Um, and like we'll all are always happy to provide our health certifications, and like I said, anyone who's selling bees really should as well.
For sure. Absolutely. So I hope that answered that question for you. Oh, and you're welcome for the information. Absolutely. So what happens if they find something serious then? Well, they're going to identify the threat. Um, your apiary can be quarantined while the samples are being processed. And Sarah, is that where they send the samples? Is that what you were talking about, or do most they have their own private labs that they use? Sarah, I don't know if any. Hello. Okay,
Can
so
you hear
well,
me?
can you hear me?
Yes. Did
Oh,
I?
okay.
Oh, you maybe lost me for a minute. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Sound cut
My
out.
does
I was gonna say, yeah, sometimes they will ask for samples to be sent out. It is more likely that, like I said before, these inspectors, they've looked into thousands of hives over many, many years. They have a lot of experience.
Mhm.
A lot of times they know what they're looking at, and can really advise you appropriately that way without the need to send samples away. But they can request that, or you can, like I said,
Yeah.
send some samples out for sure. But depending on what it is that they have found, a lot of times they are able to diagnose that.
Right. So, and then once your diagnosis happens, it looks like they're going to start a treatment order, and the treatment must begin within 14 days here in Pennsylvania. And then the inspector is going to do follow up visits with you for 2 years. Which I think that's great because then you can continue to utilize your inspector to make sure everything's still on par, everything else is looking good, you're doing all the right things, you're taking all the right measures to prevent it from happening again. And this is exactly why registering your hives matters. It lets the state find nearby yards quickly if a serious disease appears right in your flight radius, which we did talk about this. We've talked about this. So let's go on to the next slide and see what that looks like. And this is the neighbor hive effect. And Sarah, this is what, what we were talking about earlier, that bees do not read property lines and diseases do not politely stay at home. So they have a 3 mile flying distance. So you can see here, this is your area, and these are all the people who can be affected by it. There's your nuke seller, there's your yard, your new beekeeper is over here. You have a backyard hive, a club member. These are all people in your area. So if one person has AFB, you can see how all of these hives could be affected. And if one person is registered, we can let everybody else know once we spot it. Sarah, did you have it? Oh, let's see. Okay, it looks like we are having some technical difficulties, which is okay. We will try this again. Let's see. Can you hear me? Hang on just a second. If she can't hear me, that's okay. We'll just keep on going. Sometimes we have some technical difficulties. Hey, little Yogi, thank you so much for joining our bee discussion today. We are talking about why apiary inspectors come to your bee yard here in the United States. I don't know if you guys do anything like that over there where you're at. So this is why it's important, guys, to again, just if you register your hives, because if you have the AFB, the American foul brood, everyone can be affected, and we certainly don't want that to happen. Let's see here, one moment. Okay, one moment. Sarah, can you hear me? Mm, one second. I can't hear my coworker. I don't know what's happening, so we'll just carry on. So paperwork is safe bee movement. Sometimes the inspection is not about trouble. It's about moving your bees safely. Um, Buying and selling bees. PA says packages and hives brought into the Commonwealth must have a certificate of inspection. Again, check with your state. Every state is different. This is PA centric because Sarah and I are in Pennsylvania. Queen or nuke production, certification inspection, support producers and buyers. Migratory operation certifications help safe, timely movement of bees in and out of Pennsylvania and other states. Traceability registered yards help inspectors quickly map and manage disease risk. So if you're registered and there's an issue, they know exactly how to contact you. Let's see. One second, guys. So it's important. A certificate is not just paperwork. It is literally your bees. It's just Sarah, are you there? I can hear you now.
I am. Oh,
I
I don't
can hear you. Yay.
know. I am. I'll tell you what. I am a bane on technology. If there is a way to break it, I will.
That's okay. In this live, you know that we are always having technical difficulties, so it's totally fine. Oh, Charles, can you hear us now? Charles said he didn't, he lost audio too. I hope everybody can hear us. We will keep going. Can you hear me now, Sarah?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. So I hope everybody can hear us. If you're in here, if you can give us like a sign that you can hear us. Okay. So again, a certificate is not just paperwork, it's a health passport for your bees. And as you can see here, our apiary inspector has passed this hive off as a healthy hive. So we'll move on to the next slide here. And this is just how to make each visit easy. Register, update your apiary so your inspector can reach you if there is a disease alert nearby. Because I personally would want to know if my neighbor's hive was being affected by American foul brood. Sarah, I'm sure if my hive had it, you'd want to know about it, vice
Yeah, for
versa.
sure. Yeah, it protects everyone, not just the person who's affected. So it's important that you register, and if you move your bees, it's important to update that as well and let them know, just so they know where your bees are, so they can let you know if something's going on in your area.
Absolutely. You also want to make your yard accessible for the inspector. So clear paths, mark hives, and have covers easy to remove. You certainly don't want the inspector tripping and falling in your bee yard, I mean, that wouldn't be a good thing. Bring your records. So if you've done mite counts, this is why it's important to write all these things down or note them in your phone, however you do it. Your mite counts, what you've treated with, when you treated with it, any colony losses, what you purchased and when, and the movement history. All important things to record. And ask questions. Like Sarah said earlier, it's such a valuable tool to have is the apiary inspector and ask as many questions as possible. Now is the time to do it. So if you have any questions, don't be embarrassed to ask. I'm sure they've heard everything. Now is the time
Yeah,
to
for
do it.
sure.
I would be asking all the questions I could. And then follow up promptly. So if you receive a treatment order or recommendation, act quickly and document that for them. And it's just good practice because if the apiary inspector is telling you there's an issue, they know what they're talking about and you want the best for your bees. So definitely do as they suggest. I would. Charles is saying we have no audio.
Whoa.
That's so weird. Hang on. I don't know. Charles, can you not hear us?
Are you getting any other, like a TikTok comment maybe? Did anyone respond saying that they could or could not?
No. Can anyone hear us at all? Can anyone on TikTok hear us? Let's see. I'll type it out. You hear us? I see you're in TikTok.
Yeah, I was just gonna see if I could hear it through my phone. Oh, I can hear it through my phone, so at least on TikTok there is audio.
That's so weird. Okay, can you hear me?
I can through my headset and I could through my phone.
Okay, you could hear it through your phone. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
hang on just a second. Let me make sure mine. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I don't know where the technical difficulties are. Okay, so we're following up promptly. Is that where we were? Yep, follow up
Yes.
promptly, and we're gonna do their recommendations, and that's that. So we'll move on to the next screen, and that's what not to fear because I know it's not nothing to be fearful of. You want to invite the inspector before there's a crisis. The hive learns nothing from secrecy, and that is so true. It's not a pop quiz. You do not need to know every brood disease before asking for help. They're not coming in there to ask you everything you know about your bees or what you know about bees. They're there to help you and guide you. And if you
For
are
sure.
doing something incorrectly, they're there to guide you to do it correctly. So they're not there to make you feel bad about anything.
Yeah, they're gonna talk you through what they're seeing, so it's a good chance to learn as well. A lot of the times they're not there to quiz you. They're gonna show you and point things out as well.
Okay.
Oh, Charles can hear on his phone. That's good to know. We thought for sure it was us.
Oh, okay. That's funny. Um, and it's a not you failed situation. Even careful beekeepers can run into to disease, mites, robbing, and old equipment risk. And that's so true. I've been beekeeping for a few years and I still have issues that I run into. And it happens. It doesn't matter how long you've been beekeeping, everybody's going to have an issue or a
Hmm.
problem. And it's not just enforcement inspection. History includes education on controlling and preventing bee diseases. So definitely utilize an inspection is a fresh set of trained eyes in your hive. You still own your beekeeping decisions, but you gain a disease early warning system. And that is so true. Just think of them as a mentor. That's how I like to look at them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's rare when do you get another chance to talk to someone who looks at thousands of hives a year
You don't,
for
yeah.
how sometimes 20, 30 years some of these folks have been into bees.
Absolutely. And again, these apiary inspectors, they're there because they're just so passionate about it. They're not there to tell you you're wrong, you're doing everything wrong. They're there because they're passionate about bees, not because they're passionate about making you feel bad about what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, and I know in the grand scheme of things, it's not a super high paying job. So if you're
Yeah.
meeting with an inspector, they're there because they love it.
Exactly. I think most, apiary inspectors we know probably also have an additional job on the side,
Yes.
so
Hmm.
mhm. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, and we are just about done, so we'll wrap it up, and again, always important to remember we are in Pennsylvania, but every state is different. Check with your state about your apiary inspector there. Register your apiary. In Pennsylvania, registration is required and helps inspectors contact you during disease alerts. Welcome to visit. A trained inspector can spot serious disease signs early and teach while they work. And I love it. I would love to watch a inspector just go through my hive and just see how they do it. I think that's so fascinating. And then think beyond your yard. That is the important part. Bee health is 100% local. Neighboring hives, sales, movement, and equipment all connect within that realm there. Your inspector is part of the community health net. In Pennsylvania, they help us protect our bees, our neighbors' bees, and the bees moving through the Commonwealth. And that's the same within your state, too, if you're not in Pennsylvania. They're there to help the bees in your state and to help you as well. And that is all I actually have for today. I will list the sources that I got some of this information from. If you would like to also view some of that, it's there. But if anybody has any questions, we are happy to answer. Sarah, did you have anything you wanted to add? I'm so glad you were able to join me today.
Oh, happy to. I love talking bees.
Yes, ma'am.
Just as a wrap up, if there's one thing that I would take from this, it's reach out to your resources, use your resources, link up with your local bee club. They can put you in contact with the regulations in your state, in your county, and also link you up with who your local state apiary inspector is. And again, just use them as a resource. They have a wealth of knowledge and experience that they are more than happy to share with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let us know if you decide to reach out to your state apiary inspector. We love to hear how your visit went. I am actually going to reach out to mine and schedule my inspection to come out and see my bee yard and see how that goes. But let us know how it goes. Otherwise, Sarah, thank you, thank you, thank you. I always love talking bees with you, and it's been fun chatting with you as always. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks for having me. It was so lovely to talk with all of you.
Yes, yes. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great day.